Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus is a sequel that gathered mixed opinions. What was one of the reasons for it was its marketing. You see, leading up to the game's release, there were elections in the United States of America.
China.
The marketing team picked the worst way to advertise the game, which was through touching on politics. Now, I don't care about politics. In fact, I don't think we should look at video games while having politics in mind.
He's fucked in the head. The world's fucked in the head. And you're fucked in the head.
In my opinion, it is the worst way to advertise, since real-life politics shouldn't be mixed into a video game. People are supposed to connect through video games. Where are you from?
Turkey.
Turkey. Kebab!
Yes.
Kebab! Not divide themselves based on their political opinion. And some might say that the game touches on Nazis and it's already political. But here's the difference. The game takes place in a universe in which Nazis won the World War II, which in itself is an alternative history universe, not something that comments on current day politics. Now, we all know, or at least should know, what Nazi Germany has done throughout its existence. And we all know that you would have to be incredibly uneducated and quite delusional to support such things. The game doesn't focus on anything that was happening close to its release date. In fact, it started development way before the elections have started and the candidates were shown.
You know, when we started working on this game was in 2014, after New Order had come out, and you know, we couldn't really know what would happen in the political landscape and how that would change. So it's not something that has really affected the development of the project.
It was a mistake on the marketing team's side to use politics to advertise the game. It made players look at the game through a political lens instead of just enjoying it and seeing it for what it was, a sequel to the Wolfenstein Reboot. Now, it's been quite a long time since the game released, nearly a decade in fact, and playing it long after said marketing fiasco gives you a different way of looking at things, a way of looking at the game itself and not the marketing that wasn't handled by the devs themselves. In this video, I will focus on the game itself as a sequel and not go to pointless political talk whilst talking about it to give you a different way of looking at it. So let's maybe start with shooting, since it is the most important part of an FPS game and the sequel had to improve something. In my Wolfenstein: The New Order video, I mentioned that it at times became a cover shooter and it made the game slower. As I said in that video, it didn't make it bad and called it the game's quirk. And the sequel did improve upon it. The combat is more dynamic and requires from you to utilize the whole arena. What is also good is that dual wielding weapons doesn't impact your speed anymore, which makes the game even more fast-paced. And of course, since it's a sequel, they added more variants to the enemies, which is again good, but as with any game like this, it does get repetitive when you get to know how to beat them. The stealth in this game as in Order isn't something wow. Maybe it's just me, but I just don't see myself killing Nazis in stealth that much. Don't get me wrong, the hatchet kills are cool, but they become obsolete when you unlock a silencer for the pistol. My only complaint is the limited arsenal we are provided with. The game doesn't have many weapons, which can make things a bit more repetitive, especially after you get used to the enemy variants. But overall, the shooting is solid despite of the limited weapon arsenal. On one hand, you can dual wield a shotgun with an AR, but on the other, what else are you gonna choose from? So with that said, the sequel did improve with shooting. It is cool to have a more dynamic and fast-paced Wolfenstein experience. It's amazing how the game forces you to run around the whole place. You can't even stay behind the same cover, since if you do, said cover will be destroyed and you will be forced to move and find another one. But with that said, killing Nazis is still fun. It's not perfect by all means, but the gunplay itself makes up for it. With shooting being behind us, let's focus on another thing that the developers should have improved on, which is the world of the game. And honestly, the new Colossus gave us more out of its alternate history world. Aside from typical propaganda, the game puts us in few interesting places throughout its story, like the bombed New York City, or a city occupied by Nazis in America called Roosevelt. Said city is a cool lore drop that connects the marketing, not the political, I meant the one with movies and music, with the game. For example, while scrolling through Roosevelt, we can find ads of Lizzo, a movie that is meant to parody the American Leslie, who instead of being a dog is a Panzerhunde.
Bad girl.
Or a show called German or Else, which is a competition in which the German skills of the contestants are tested. The winner gets a prize and the loser, well...
I'm sorry, Linda, but you lost, which means you go for 4 weeks to...
I don't think I have to explain that the loser goes to a re-education camp, and I also don't think I need to explain that it isn't quite pleasant. There's even advertisements for my beloved Wolfenstein music. Here, just let me play that so you can understand how amazing it is.
In den USA surfen sie im Wilden Westen. London Boys sind so schlau, sprechen den Himmel so blau, doch bald schon ziehen sie sich aus der Affäre.
Other than that, we can spot books about Engel or learning German. It would also be a shame to not mention the conversation that we can hear there. The first you will be able to hear is a one between two KKK members and a Nazi soldier.
How do you say thank you in German?
Oh, of course, sir. Let me see. It's,
Yes.
dank,
Yes, out with it.
danky.
My God. Was that alright? No, that was terrible. You're butchering my beautiful language.
It's amazing how the game makes fun of the KKK in that scene. The conversation shows that they're unable to learn the language and that the soldier isn't happy about that. We're also able to hear a conversation between a German officer and some American lady.
I even stopped listening to Mozart when I heard he's not German at all, but some kind of impure Austrian. Now, Beethoven, that is...
Fräulein Ed, may I remind you that the Führer himself is Austrian by birth? And so is my grandmother!
As you can see, it pretty much goes well until she starts dissing Austrians. And last but not least, we are able to hear that slavery became legal when America went under the Reich.
Give my regards to your father when you return to the farm. Oh, and tell him I'm putting some hardworking slaves up for auction this week if he's interested. There'll be cocktails.
I'll tell him, Auntie. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye, dear.
These things aren't really big. In fact, I would say plenty of players probably missed it and just went on to complete the objective, but they are there. I'm really glad these kind of things are in the game. It's a nice touch that gives more out of the world of Wolfenstein. Showing Nazi-occupied USA is such a cool and interesting thing, since a lot of media depicts it differently. The devs did make a really good job with making this whole parade in place. Also, speaking of the parade, it's celebrating the day when Nazis won, and also announces that the US citizens will have to switch to German soon with a song from the cover called Changeover Day.
We are here to tell you all about Changeover Day.
Changeover Day?
Changeover Day. From July the 4th, you gotta say goodbye to English.
Auf Wiedersehen!
So get on board or get out.
The locations we visit throughout the game are truly amazing when it comes to the lore of the game. At some point we also visit a new Manhattan that was mentioned in the first game, which is also such a cool experience. The world building is truly improved upon. It's great that they continued building upon the foundation that the first game has set and shown locations that were mentioned in it. I also mentioned music before. Of course, apart from the one set in the world of Wolfenstein, we have score playing in the background made by, of course, Mick Gordon. And here's the thing that the sequel didn't improve upon. Whilst fighting and mowing down the Nazis, the score is supposed to play, and like in the first game they fucked up with the mixing. It's honestly so fucking disappointing since these tracks sound nice, but at the same time you can't really fucking hear them. What pains me more is that there was effort put into these tracks just for them to be overshadowed by the noise produced by the weapons. It's disappointing to see, especially after the move to a newer engine. Like, sure, we have better graphics, but mixing of the audio still fucking sucks. But audio mixing aside, let's talk about the story, since this is what plenty of people are critical about. So let's take a look at it, since it is a story-oriented game and is one of the reasons people love the reboot. So the story picks up from where it ended in the New Order. So basically after Blazkowicz won the fight with Death's Head but got injured due to his opponent having a trick up his sleeve. With that said, the game asks us again to make a choice between Fergus and Wyatt. And what does it impact in the sequel? Well, Fergus gets a sick robo arm, and Wyatt gets hooked on drugs, specifically LSD. So your choice is limited to a Scottish venom snake or a junkie. Me myself, I chose Fergus cause Scotland forever. But enough about that. BJ, like in the first game, is dreaming, but this time about his childhood. This gives us a cool insight and an instant boss fight with a racist and abusive father. Obviously, the father wins that fight and forces young Blazko to kill his dog, which is sad, but you can actually miss the shot so you don't give Blazko a bigger trauma. After that though, BJ finally awakens from his coma by gunshots and the ship's rumbling. He stands up for a bit and after falling down gets on a wheelchair. Turns out the ship is under attack and Frau Engel has found them. So like a true brickhole that Blazkowicz is, he kills Nazis on a fucking wheelchair. After killing enough, he finally finds Anya and makes jokes about her pregnancy.
You've gotten so fat.
If only he knew what would come out of that womb, he would have wore a condom that night.
Oh my god, I got his brains in my mouth! Water, give me water!
Your DNA deserves better. Durex condoms.
Anyways, the Nazis are holding down the submarine with some big fucking aircraft, and Caroline loses a fight after being bonked in her head. Engel bullies her obese daughter and says that if Blasco surrenders, she will spare the rest of the resistance. So with no other options left, he decides to do exactly that. Engel decapitates Caroline and proceeds to humiliate her daughter even more. This leads to an argument that helps us escape with Fergus alive, since the hatchet took away his arm instead of his head. Fergus throws Blasco the power armor, and Engel starts losing the fight with her giant daughter and calls the biggest soldier to help her escape this situation. Now, let me stop here for a bit. When the game released, some people had issues with Sigrun and the hatred her mother has towards her. Some said it didn't make sense, but in reality it truly does. The Nazis orient around the quote-unquote perfection of human race, so it makes sense that Engel hates her daughter. After all, she is obese, which in Engel's eyes makes her a disgrace to the Aryan race. They wouldn't be able to exactly make Sigrun disabled, since if that would be the case, she would be killed off seconds after taking her first breath. So the developers chose the next best option, which was her daughter being obese. So in short, everything regarding Sigrun is in check. With that said, let me continue the story. So after Engel leaves the room, Sigrun tells us how to release the U-boat. We have to get to the controller bay and disable the latches, and to get there, as in any other Wolfenstein scenario, we have to kill fuck ton of Nazis. After doing so, Blaskovich, Fergus and Sigrun escape and get back on the U-boat. Sigrun tells us that there's someone broadcasting our U-boat's location to the Nazis, and it turns out that there's a room we somehow missed during the events of the first game that is filled with Nazis. So of course we get rid of that problem by shooting the Nazis. After getting back to the main part of the U-boat, we give Caroline a proper funeral. Well, as proper as one can get inside of a submarine. Speaking of Caroline, before her death she was trying to communicate with the resistance in the nuked NYC. So our next stop is a nuclear wasteland. There we clear it out of the Nazis that are stationed there and finally get to the resistance located at the highest point of a skyscraper. They aren't exactly friendly to Blasco at first, but he convinces them that he is really from the resistance and that they're planning to take over the United States of America. Blasco talks with Grace, who is their leader, until Super Spesh comes in and informs us that the Nazis are coming. BJ escorts them to the roof and takes care of the problem by himself. After doing so, we get back to the headquarters and Grace tells us to get the nukes from the Section F. So obviously we do that whilst killing Robo-Nazis. So now that we have the nuclear material, we can now use it on a Nazi research facility that used to belong to America, and before that to that Yashud. We stroll around Roswell until we reach Super Spesh in Joe's All-American Diner. We take out a Nazi officer and have a chat with Speshy about said facility.
But it's most likely space alien based.
It ain't space aliens. I talked.
How the fuck do you know?
He thinks it's aliens, but Blasco knows it's Jews. But he does get us into a tunnel that leads to said facility. Once we're there, we obviously kill fuck ton of Nazis. And after doing so, we plant the nuke and get out on a stolen bike. BJ decides to go to his childhood home and get a ring for Anya. When he gets there, he reminisces on trauma and memories tied to that place. And after wandering around the place, he finally steps into a room with the ring and his father. This time there's no boss fight since the old fuck doesn't stand a chance against Blasco, so BJ ends him with a hatchet. Unfortunately though, he snitched to Nazis and the whole place gets lifted by an aircraft. And unfortunately, Blasco doesn't win this fight. He gets captured by them and put on trial. But before that, they show him on TV and Super Spesh tries to get him out. Unfortunately, he doesn't succeed with that and, well, dies. Blasco gets put on a trial, during which he breaks out of the restraints and kills Nazis. Just kidding, Blasco was dreaming about that. In said dream, he also meets his mother and talks about his worries and how he wants to live. He wakes up by the judge hitting the hammer and sentencing him to death. After that, Engel chops his head off and that's how the game ends. Nah, I'm just fucking with you guys. Seth catches his head with a drone and puts it in a jar to later transplant it into a new body, in which he succeeds and that leads to another mission. Grace glazes the thing that connects BJ's head to his new body and gets interrupted by Anya coming in to inform Grace that the resistance in New Orleans is getting attacked. But before getting there, we need to get a dossier from a bunker in Manhattan. After doing so, we can actually go there and save the New Orleans resistance and recruit them for our cause. The plan is to get there with a submersible in which Bombate is fucking the German Gorlok.
I'm sorry. Did you need this quote?
Yes, motherfucker.
But with that said, we get to the New Orleans and clear it out of the Nazis. At some point we actually meet up with the resistance that is led by a guy named Horton. And Horton is a hell of a man since he gets Blasco drunk while arguing with him.
You know the concept of civil rights, Terrabelli? No, you don't. You're just a jarhead, ain't you?
Buddy, I laid my life on the line for freedom, justice, and the American way, while you and your bohemian friends were passing out Bolshevik propaganda and opposing the draft on every street corner.
Since Blasco drank way more than he expected, he decides to join the cause. So now it's time to clear out the way for the new members of the revolution by using a Panzerhunde provided by Horton himself. After getting rid of the Nazis, the U-boat crashes onto the New Orleans and we get it off the land by using a cannon. So now we can start the revolution. But to do that we need a big fucking aircraft, which requires Odin codes, which are on Venus. And to get to Venus we need to kidnap an actor that is going there to audition for the role in a Nazi propaganda movie about BJ. And we obviously do that and get there. And during said audition we meet one particular person. That one particular person being the Austrian painter himself. And honestly, the depiction of Adolf in this game is amazing. I really love how deranged he is. He shoots a guy who's from Arizona that according to him is a Jew.
I'm from Arizona.
Then he proceeds to piss in a bucket and jerk off to his own ego. And after doing so, he vomits and hugs his assistant and mistakes her for his mother. After he's done with that, he tells the actors to rehearse their lines.
A cold-blooded terrorist. That is what you are.
You are a nice woman.
And after doing that successfully, we finally get control of BJ and can do this.
Hitler has only got one ball.
I honestly did it a couple of times since, you know, it's Hitler. Blasco plays the role perfectly since, well, he's playing himself. We get to a room on the station which we obviously don't use since we're here to steal the codes, which we obviously steal and get back to the U-boat, on which Blasco gets pranked and the whole resistance starts partying and celebrating BJ's birthday and the start of the revolution. After they're done and wake up the next morning, we find out that Fergus lost his robo-arm. He threw it out when he tried to get a girl and the arm decided to grab her tits.
Maria, ever since I saw you, I've been wanting to do this.
Kept you waiting, huh?
And honestly, good riddance, Fergus. Anyways, we do get the arm and we get to the aircraft, on which we kill as usual shit ton of Nazis and get to the control room in which Anya saves BJ whilst also losing her clothes. After getting said aircraft, we fly to a TV studio in which Frau Engel is being interviewed. So obviously we get there and kill her and the game ends. No, I'm not fucking joking this time. There's no fight, no nothing, BJ kills Engel, the resistance gives a speech, and the game ends. So what would I say about the whole story? Honestly, it's just good, but not perfect. It has great moments like showing player a Nazi-occupied city or a nuked NYC or the character development of Sigrun. It's cool to see a character being despised because she comes from a woman that is their main enemy, just for said character to prove that she isn't a Nazi bitch that they claim her to be. It has cool interactions between the characters and random resistance members outside of cutscenes. And the lighter vibe, which was critiqued by some, in my opinion, makes sense. New Order was set before they started the whole resistance and the revolution. It was hopeless since we didn't know if there's hope. Now in the new Colossus we are assured by the people living inside of the U-boat that there is hope, so obviously it will feel lighter. Granted, there is some bad moments like Super Spesh coming out of the shitter while Blasco and Anya are arguing.
You can't possibly know.
But it isn't as bad as some would claim. The only issues I had with it is limiting the player to 50 HP in the first half of the story. I understand that the developers were trying to show that BJ is sick and all, but there's better ways to show that without the HP limit. And obviously apart from the HP, the ending was not satisfying. Ending the game like that is a crime. Like they rally up the people, but what now? Where's the fighting and shooting machine games? Oh, and I also forgot to tell you about the side content. After killing a commander, you can now collect Enigma codes, which you can use to find out where some high-ranked Nazis are. You do that through a boring minigame. To this day I question why the fuck would the developers force the players to do some shitty minigame for them to unlock some extra content. Said content isn't even something wow, it's just fucking around the map and killing Nazis. I honestly gave up after one of the enemies decided to be invincible, which didn't allow me to progress through the level. If you want more Nazi killing out of the game, then go ahead, do it. But for me it wasn't something captivating. So with that said, let's get to the DLCs. Some might not know about them, but they do exist. And they are a fucking joke. Each one of them costs $10 on Steam and provides you with 1 hour of content. And honestly, for that price you're getting scammed since you don't even get proper cutscenes. Instead, you get some poorly animated comic ones. I wouldn't even recommend buying, let alone playing them. I wanted to actually write about them and tell the story of each character more in depth, but it narrows down to: meet Gunslinger Joe, the Nazis want to use him for some experiment, so he kills them. Meet Jessica, her husband got killed by Nazis, so now she pretends to be Solid Snake and kills Nazis. Meet Captain Wilkins, he likes killing Nazis. Plot twist, he has a daughter he didn't know about. So yeah, the DLCs are a fucking joke. For these $30 you can spend on them, I would recommend you to buy Witcher 3 with all the DLCs instead. Far more better use for that money since the stories in Wolfenstein 2 DLCs are not even canon. So with that said, was Wolfenstein the New Colossus that bad? Not really, it has a good story, and by good I just mean okay. Dynamic gunfights and some good world building. I think the game was harshly criticized due to the marketing team's mistake to mix up current day politics into its ads. This, instead of ramping up the sales, made people, as I said before, look at the game through their political opinion instead of enjoying the Nazi killing. By all means, the game isn't perfect and has its flaws, but I would say that it's worth your while if you crave a single player FPS experience and you played the other Wolfenstein games. If you can grab it on a sale in a really good price, then go ahead, don't hesitate, do get it. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a good one.
You think you're smart, huh? How about... Yeah. Make yours? No. Wait a minute.
Make sauce.
Checkmate.
Max.
No.
Max.
No.
Max.
No.
Max.
No!
Max.
No!
Max.
No, you can't be, you stupid goylem!